A mere servant dares to advise me. Allowing you to stay in the Eastern Palace is already a favor. How about I make you a concubine after the Crown Prince is married? What do you think? 9 years of coaxing, pampering, and devotion, all rewarded with nothing more than a gold hairpin. And the title of a concubine. The food was seasoned too lightly. Make her kneel for the night. I have been too indulgent with you in the past. It is time you were taught some discipline. He thought that was affection. 9 years. I was nothing more than a convenient servant to him. Your Highness, Su Kisi, has been framed and thrown into prison. I beg of you, a mere servant. Her life or death is a matter of fate. Is it really worth causing such a scene for her? You annoy me. He doesn't care. The rules of this palace are set by those in power. If others can do it, why can't I? I shall leave the palace tomorrow to inspect the spring sowing. I will return in 7 days. Wait for me obediently. Spring is cold. Your Majesty, please remember to bring enough clothing. As for your friend, I have already given the order. You will be able to see her when you return. Younger. Sister, I got medicine from the Imperial Infirmary. It is already brewing. I will bring it to you once it is ready. Take good care of yourself. Don't overexert your mind or heart. Everything will be fine with me here. Whom did you beg to save me? I went to the Fuhua Palace. You are with the Emperor now, but I know your heart belongs to the Crown Prince. Let it go. I waited 9 years to finally say those words. What happened to the red marks on your neck? Did you catch smallpox? It must have been a bug bite. My arm hurts. Come here and massage them for me. I heard Yuanyang has been released. Yes. What is this attitude? Are you resenting me? Your servant would not dare. I know. Ever since my betrothal was settled, you've had a grudge in your heart. But such matters of marriage are not for me to decide. Besides, the Empress didn't say you couldn't be a concubine. So what more are you dissatisfied with? You may leave. I have something to say to the Crown Prince. I know you've looked after him for 9 years, and your bond is quite special, but you would do best to remember, a servant is only a servant. Wanting to leap to the top, you don't have the fate for it. Miss Shu is of noble birth. You're just a lowly girl. How could you compare to her? Obedience is your only guarantee of survival. The Emperor returns to the palace the day after tomorrow, and the Imperial Observatory will set the date for the wedding. Your good days are coming to an end. Last time at the hunting grounds, I assumed you were ill, so your skills were lacking. Tasting this again today, these dishes really aren't very good. The Crown Prince prefers light flavors, so I prepared them to his taste. Next time you come, I shall make them with heavier seasoning. Cousin, what is so difficult about making these dishes? Doesn't it just mean using less salt? Such a simple task. Yet for 9 years, she has been the only one to receive such favor. That is why they say she is fortunate. She has enjoyed wealth and splendor in the Eastern Palace for 9 years. I'll send 2 new cooks to the Eastern Palace tomorrow. They will surely do better than her. It is indeed time for a change. To rely on one person for everything makes it seem as if you cannot function without her. Then send her out of the palace. She is already 19 this year. Do you disagree, cousin? Why would I disagree? She is merely a palace maid. She leaves today. Off with you. I will watch over you, so you don't take anything you shouldn't. That Miss Shu allowed you to leave the palace is already a mercy. Otherwise, she could find any excuse to have you beaten to death. And what would it matter? I didn't have anything to pack, really. The only box I owned. I have protected and cherished it for 9 years. I didn't take the box with me. I only grabbed 2 outfits that were still wearable. And the money I've saved up over these years, I spent a tael of silver to rent half a small courtyard. Once I tidied it up, it actually started to feel like a home. Miss, you live here, all by yourself. You look like a young lady from a wealthy family. Why are you out on your own? I had some trivial matters at home, so I came out to clear my head. Oh, then what about your family? Aren't they worried about you being out here all alone? After staying for 2 days, I only went to see the scenery described in the records of mountains and rivers. The creation gathers all divine beauty. Yin and yang divide the dusk and dawn. I can finally rest for half a day. Xiaokai, serve the meal. Has Yuanyang not left the house in the past 2 days? Reporting to your highness, apart from buying groceries, she hasn't stepped outside even once. She must be somewhere not far from the palace. Waiting for her to become a concubine is the greatest fortune she could ask for. Let her stew for a while longer. I will have her brought back on the day of my capping ceremony. Her eyes have only ever seen me. She is extremely fond of me. This one of a kind affection. She is the only one who gives it to me. I am her entire world. Why does this food taste so terrible? Take it away. Go and fetch her yourself. Just say. Tell her that I am worried she might act recklessly out there and ruin the reputation of the Eastern Palace. I am showing mercy now by allowing her to return, as you command. Yuanyang is quite lucky. I only regret that I am not a woman myself. Excuse me, ma'am, might I ask where the young lady who lived here has gone? She is gone. She left 3 days ago. She was picked up by someone of high status, someone very wealthy and powerful. It is a wonderful thing for a woman to be so beautiful. She'll have no trouble finding a husband. Yuanyang actually thinks she can play hard to get with the crown prince. She's missing the chance of a lifetime, Your Highness. Yuanyang was taken away by someone of unknown identity 3 days ago. The neighbors say that person was very wealthy and powerful. How dare she find her and lock her up in the crown prince's mansion? Let her skip 9 meals. Let her reflect on her actions. I haven't slept well these past 2 days. His Majesty brought a woman back from outside the palace. He granted her the title of Ju. He even bestowed a special title upon her, and he has settled her in the Fuhua Pavilion. He wouldn't even give that to me when I asked for it years ago. I am only 35. My son is the crown prince. No one can shake my position as Empress. Did His Majesty say when he would be arriving? Your Majesty, His Majesty is still in court. He said he would come by at the hour of Chen. The hour of Chen. There is still time. What are you looking for? Oh, Mother, I'm not looking for anyone. Where is Father? Why isn't he with you? He just sent word that he will be here at the 7th hour. She must be hiding somewhere, peeking at me. If she keeps putting on airs and won't show herself, I'm going to be furious. I won't elevate her to concubine status. Even if she kneels and begs me, I will not soften my heart. Cousin, Consort Shu. That's the woman the Emperor brought back from outside. Have you seen her yet? What does she look like? You have too much free time on your hands. Why bother yourself with the Emperor's women? The Emperor has always been ascetic and indifferent. Why would he suddenly have a change of heart? Could it be because the Emperor has arrived? Consort Shu has arrived. Look over there. She really came. How is it her? Why is she so lacking in decorum? Come here. Yuanyang, come here. You have come of age today. How are you still so reckless? How many times have I taught you? Think thrice before you act. Yes, your son will remember that. You may sit as well. Yes. What are you doing? Is this a place where you are permitted to sit? Get over here. Crown Prince, do not misbehave. This is Consort Shu. Wishing His Highness, the Crown Prince, health and peace on your birthday. Upon the ceremony of your adulthood, may your life be smooth and prosperous. How can this be? Are you Consort Shu? Make sure he is watched carefully, without a summons. The Crown Prince is not allowed to enter the palace. It has been 4 days since I entered the palace. In truth, I still haven't adjusted. I also never expected His Majesty to grant me the Fuhua Palace to live in. When I first entered the palace, I knew how special Fuhua Palace was to His Majesty, because when he was a child, he and his birth mother lived here. This place holds all his memories. His mother passed away early, yet he not only survived the inner palace, but eventually became the Emperor. My lady, His Majesty is coming tonight. Let me assist you with your bath and change of clothes. The Empress has taken the Crown Prince to the Crown Prince's residence, and he is no longer allowed to live in the Eastern Palace. Did it break your heart to see him today? What is in the past is in the past. I won't think about it anymore. Don't be afraid, Yuanyang. I will always be here with you. From now on, it will be my turn to protect you, sister. We, as sisters, will never have to live in fear again. Everyone says you are truly blessed, but they don't know that I am the one who is truly blessed. Why haven't you slept yet? The calligraphy is decent, but it lacks a bit of strength. Why do you write in this style? Your servant, I happened upon a copybook, and I thought the characters were beautiful, so I practiced it in secret. Was that improper? So, that copybook was yours? I did not know. There is nothing improper about it. You write quite well. Actually, as for my fateful encounter with His Majesty, I owe a debt of gratitude to Shu Linlang. On the day of the winter hunt, he punished me by making me kneel in the snow. I fainted in the middle of the night, but without the Crown Prince's permission, no one dared to save me. Fortunately, His Majesty was passing by and saw me collapsed in the snow, half buried by the fresh snowfall. After he learned what had happened, he personally carried me back to my tent. I kept clutching his hand, crying that I was cold. By the time dawn approached, I woke up, scared out of my wits. He ordered 7 doses of medicine to be taken carefully and forbid me from wasting any. It was a long while after His Majesty left before I finally calmed down, feeling ashamed that I had lost my composure. Your Highness. Your Highness. I'm hungry. Bring the food. What is this? Even a dog wouldn't eat this. I assumed that Yuanyang was just angry, acting temperamental, waiting for the Crown Prince to coax her. Who could have guessed she would become the Emperor's consort? Yuanyang, whose eyes would light up when she saw me. How could she ever leave me for another man? The only possibility is that she was forced by the Emperor. Your Highness, you must not go into the palace. Why shouldn't I go into the palace? I am going to get to the bottom of this. Get out of my way. Yuanyang, you didn't want this, did you? It was the Emperor who forced you, right? The reason I love the food Yuanyang makes isn't just because it's my favorite flavor, but also because every time she stands by the table, she coaxes me with such gentle words, as if me eating was the most important thing in the world. If I eat just one more bite, she would be happy for the whole day. Sometimes, when I'm in a mood, I deliberately skip a few bites, and she spends the whole day trying every way to coax me. Your Majesty, it is getting late. You should rest early. I am a bit tired. You don't need to worry about the Crown Prince's affairs. The Empress will handle it. Tode, asking you to come here, is it too much of an imposition on you? Is Your Majesty asking if I find it burdensome? In the past, the Crown Prince only gave commands. My thoughts were never important. I do not mind at all, Your Majesty. I only feel a sense of shame, my status. I fear it will invite criticism against you. Whatever I do, they would never dare to criticize. Even if they dared, I would not listen to them. You need not carry such a burden. Yes. Sleep a while longer. At midday, I shall return to dine with you. Very well. Only when I spoke did I realize my voice had gone hoarse. Summon the Imperial Physician. Do not alarm anyone else. It is merely a hoarse throat. Does His Majesty really need to be this worried? This lady's physical condition is simply the exhaustion following her first intimacy. Your ladyship is suffering from a deficiency of vital energy. You should move about more in your daily life. The medicine from Physician Wang. Do remember to take it. I slept too much during the day. I won't be sleeping now. I shall continue reviewing the memorials I haven't finished. You go ahead and sleep. He is also very tall. Whatever he wears, he stands tall as a pine, looking noble and imposing. I heard from Yuanyang that, when the Emperor traveled incognito, he would be surrounded by women at temple fairs, offering handkerchiefs and sashes. What are you doing? Is that for me? Ha ha ha. It looks lovely. Oh. Your Majesty. Ha ha ha. These socks are truly beautiful. Giving back in return for a gift. I found some things for you. Take a look. If you don't like them, I'll take you to pick out some more. I like them all. Thank you, Your Majesty. Can you do it? I'm actually quite good at kicking the shuttlecock. Can you do it too, Your Majesty? Where did you learn it, Your Majesty? How are you so good at it? I only found out later. When he was a boy, the late Emperor scolded him for being frivolous for playing that game. He is kicking it again tonight. It is probably because Dr. Wang said my health is weak and that I should move around more. Let me read them for you. You should close your eyes and rest a while. You can read them. Have a listen. If you aren't satisfied, you can teach me. This magistrate Liu sends a memorial every month. All he talks about are the same old trivial matters. Does he really think I have nothing better to do? Magistrate Liu's memorial. He talks about everything from last year's harvest to this year's. He mentions wheat again. This memorial seems a bit different. There are numbers in every column. Following the guide of the numbers, I can find a specific character in each column. Your Majesty, Fushun Prefecture has not seen spring sowing for 6 years. I beg your majesty to intervene. There are no seeds for the spring sowing. Why didn't he just say so directly? You go to sleep first. I'm returning to the Chengkun Palace. You are truly observant. Otherwise, he could have written 100 of these, and I still wouldn't have noticed. It is just a woman's intuition, your majesty. I waited for a month. I have finally made it to today. I forced myself to eat some breakfast, and came over early to wait. Mother. My child, how did you become so thin? Your Highness, please conduct yourself with propriety. Were you forced into this by the Emperor? I am here of my own free will. You're lying to me. I have treated you so well. Why are you being so ungrateful? His Highness is no longer a child. It would be best to be careful with your words. Don't give others a reason to gossip. He steals his own son's woman and isn't afraid of gossip. Mind your words, your Highness. Deep down, you still have feelings for me. How could you change so suddenly? Is it because I am to take a crown princess? So you are jealous? You are truly laughable. In your eyes, your Highness, I am nothing more than a servant, to be summoned or dismissed at will. Why would you think that? I truly value you. Your Highness is the crown prince. Whatever you think is always right. It is only natural that you should demand service from anyone. But now, your Highness asks for too much. You can demand your subordinates' loyalty, but you cannot demand their sincere heart. My child, what has happened to you? She said she is a servant to be summoned or dismissed at will. Is she not? She is merely a servant, yet she is so arrogant. She actually thinks she is a person of consequence. Mother Empress, go pour me some tea. Go knead my legs. Go fetch that for me. I returned to the palace and got off the carriage. I fainted. When I woke up, the Emperor was sitting by my bed, beaming with joy. Your Majesty, Anshan, Yuanyang, the imperial physician says you are pregnant. I am pregnant? Is that what the physician said? Every physician from the Imperial Medical Academy has been here. You are indeed pregnant. I wept tears of joy. Yuanqing stood by my side, her eyes red from crying. His Majesty was having New Year's Eve dinner with me at Fuhua Palace. Did you see the Crown Prince this morning? I nodded and told him everything that happened this morning. I was feeling a bit anxious. Your Majesty, I am not angry. Do not be afraid. I was just thinking. Given his temperament, you must have suffered quite a lot while you were by his side all these years. I was just thinking, given his temperament, you must have suffered quite a lot while you were by his side all these years. For me to enter the palace, have enough to eat and wear, and live until today is already a tremendous blessing. In my eyes, those hardships were nothing at all. That is not necessarily true. Though I am the sovereign, this realm belongs to the people. If people are suffering, it means I have failed in my duty. People are truly different from one another. You do not want to sleep. If you are not sleeping, then I cannot sleep either. Shall we get up? You do this better than Eunuch Yao. I have truly found a gem. It is thanks to your teaching. I feel like I have become useful as well. Ever since I moved into Fuhua Palace, His Majesty has stopped visiting noble consort Liang and noble consort Yun. He only visits the Empress at Kuning Palace on the 15th of each month. The Empress has summoned me to Kuning Palace a few times. I have gone to visit briefly. The way she looks at me still feels like she wants to devour me, but she has not dared to do anything to me. As for the other two noble consorts, I actually wanted to visit them both, but my rank is low, and I am currently in favor. If I went, I'd worry they'd think I was showing off, so I just decided against it. But I never expected that noble consort Yun would come to Fuhua Palace to visit me. I've never been here before. You certainly are blessed to end up living in such an auspicious place. I feel differently about noble consort Yun. When I first entered the palace, I served under her at Kuyun Palace. She is well-read, full of wisdom, considerate toward others, and has a gentle temper. Back then, in Yuanqing's eyes and mine, she was like a goddess from the heavens. She was just the same as she used to be, cautious and reserved. I felt a sense of relief. She smiled and, together with Yuanqing, teased me for the whole afternoon. I knew she was trying to comfort me. Fearing that I might be feeling burdened, I felt even more grateful to her. The imperial physician told me to walk around more, which would be better for the delivery, so I started taking walks outside. Do you remember Auntie Shu? Back when we first entered the palace, she beat us because we weren't washing the laundry fast enough. She actually broke a wooden rod on us. I remember. Yuanqing and I were burning with fever from the pain, yet we didn't dare to take a break. What if we established a new rule? No using wooden rods to punish people in the palace. That is a great idea. Tomorrow, let's talk to the noble consort and make this rule official. Then I have plenty of rules I'd like to change. Yanger, these are the most comfortable days I've ever had. Only when you stand high enough can you decide your own fate and have the ability to help those you care about. Yeah. It seems that is the only way life has any meaning. On the 6th day of the 9th lunar month that year, I gave birth to a son. The labor was arduous. His Majesty stayed by my side the whole time. I beg you to treat our son well. I beg you to ensure Yuanqing lives a life of comfort. He promised me, sitting beside me with reddened eyes. It lasted a day and a night. Thankfully, both mother and child are safe. Why don't you give him a nickname? How about Nian? Nian-ge, you must be filial to your mother in the future. I looked at him, startled. I haven't had an heir in so many years. Nian-ge has done a great service for the empire. It is only fitting that I promote you to imperial consort. Thank you, your majesty. On the 6th day of the 9th lunar month, the crown prince was wed. His majesty and the empress attended the ceremony together. Upon his return, his majesty did not seem very happy. But when I asked, he smiled and said it was nothing. It is nothing. Eunuch, what did the crown prince say to his majesty? The crown prince and his majesty were shut inside the side hall alone. His majesty's expression was grim when he came out. I do not know what was said, your highness. I was stunned for a moment, not knowing what to do. On the day of Nian-ge's first birthday celebration, I saw the crown prince again. He had become so thin, almost unrecognizable. It reminded me of the first time I saw him. So frail, as if a breeze could knock him over. Let me hold him too. I know why you abandoned me for the emperor. That night, his majesty did not come to Fuhua Palace. I waited until dawn. I suddenly realized that over the past year, I had grown accustomed to his presence every night. Accustomed to his care and affection. Without him there, my mind is completely adrift. Where is his majesty? At the Qiankun Palace, there has been heavy snow in the northwest recently. It is expected there will be a snow disaster this year. His majesty is greatly troubled by this. It has been 2 years. Has his majesty grown weary of you as well? Just wait a little longer. Once he is finished with his work, he will likely come by. Even if he does not miss me, he will surely think of Nianer. This wait lasted until October. His Majesty intends to personally go to the northwest to inspect the situation. By the time I found out, it was the day before his scheduled departure. The consorts from several palaces had already brought him clothes and pastries. After much hesitation, I went as well. The noble consort is here. It is cold outside. Please come in. I hope I am not disturbing His Majesty. Not at all. Not at all. Please go right in. It was my first time entering the Qiankun Palace, and the first time I truly took in my surroundings. The Qiankun Palace is immense, so the underfloor heating was not very effective. It felt quite chilly. His Majesty sat behind his imperial desk, and upon hearing the noise, he looked toward me. For over 20 days, I had been doing quite well. In my heart, he is my master. He will come if he wishes to come. For me to seek him out would be an overstep. But in that moment, I simply could not help myself. Have you suffered some grievance? I have not seen you for 22 days. I have been anxious and restless. I missed you, yet feared that you had grown tired of me. Are you crying because you missed me? If you missed me, why did you not come to find me? Your servant. I don't know what your Majesty was thinking. No matter what I was thinking, could you not have come to question me? Why didn't you come looking for me? Did I have a change of heart? Or were you just jealous? Angry? Jealous? Angry? It's embarrassing to say, but I was jealous of my own son. On the day the crown prince married, he told me so much about your time in the Eastern Palace, how you liked the crown prince so much, and how much you did for him. But I couldn't argue with the crown prince. A father and son fighting over a woman. It would be a laughingstock if word got out. I wanted to ask you about it, but then I felt it was all in the past. I shouldn't have been jealous. Yet the bitterness in my heart wouldn't fade. I had intended to endure it, but at Nian-ge's first birthday banquet, I saw you exchange glances with the crown prince. There was clearly still a spark in your eyes, and the jealousy became unbearable. I want to ask you, do you have a place for me in your heart? My heart holds only you, your majesty. I'm sorry. This year, noble consort Liang fell ill. It was my first time visiting her at Yichun Palace. You're doing quite well. Your complexion is rosy, and you've put on a little weight. With nothing to do all day, just eating and sleeping, it would be hard not to gain weight. You are truly blessed. Unlike me, His Majesty treats you well. You were fortunate not to have stayed in the Eastern Palace. That's just my personality. I don't talk much usually. It's not out of arrogance, but because I can't be bothered with riddles and games. I'm fine. I'm not dying anytime soon. You may go. I didn't stay long. I left the gifts, and then I departed. Noble consort Yun has the princess to keep her company, but she is all alone. It is too lonely. That is her own affair. There is nothing I can do. Back then, the reason General Shu sent noble consort Liang into the palace was because she had fallen in love with her sworn brother. The old general did not approve. He tried to tear the lovers apart, nearly driving her to take her own life. After much deliberation, he had no choice but to send her into the palace. I respect the old general, so I had no choice but to settle her in Yichun Palace for all these years. The noble consort and I have never consummated our marriage. No wonder she has no children. You don't know. Back then, she and I were both training under the old general. She thought I was too short and small, and I don't know how many times she bullied me. Was your majesty really short? I didn't have enough to eat when I was young. I didn't start growing until I was 14. When I began my apprenticeship, she had already been training for 6 years. How could I ever have been her match? I never imagined such a thing. But later, she couldn't beat me anymore. Noble consort Liang's illness, it is not as mild as she claims. The imperial physician says it is a sickness of the heart. I fear she will not last until next spring. My heart felt heavy, like it was being torn apart. I endured and endured, but in the end I couldn't help it. I discussed with His Majesty whether we could quietly let her leave the palace. If she is willing, it is not impossible. I went to ask her. My lady, leave the palace. Return to the general's manor. I am not willing. With you here all alone, with no one to look after you, the imperial physician said. Before the year was out, the palace would hold a funeral for her. To the world, we simply said she died of illness. We held a grand burial for an empty coffin, but in reality, we sent her back to the general's estate. The man who came to collect her that night was her sworn brother. I followed behind His Majesty and took a quiet peek. He looked very young, and he was taller than the emperor. Are you laughing at me for being short? Your Majesty is not short. It is just that Master Shu is too tall. I was blessed with a child in my later years. Ha ha ha. I have taken a fancy to a young man, and I'd like you to put in a word with the emperor to select him as a consort for the princess. The princess is still so young. Are you in such a rush? Good men are hard to come by. If I wait too long, what if someone else snatches him up? I am not like you, having the emperor by your side. I just want her to marry soon, so I can enjoy the company of grandchildren. Your Majesty, noble consort Yun's words make sense. It is granted. The son-in-law has been chosen, so I went to take a secret look. The young master is only 14, and he has such a refined and handsome appearance. I hear his scholarship is excellent as well. He is quite easy to like. In this dynasty, horses are forbidden from passing the pass. This is truly his good fortune. I wish my daughter would grow up overnight, so she could give me a bunch of grandchildren. If you are so idle, consort, help me raise my children. If you bear more sons, the one in the cunning palace will surely lose her composure. When the crown prince and Shu Linlang had no heirs in their second year of marriage, the empress forced 2 concubines into the prince's estate. 2 years later, she sent 2 more maids. Now, there is no movement from any of the 5 women in the crown prince's estate. Everyone suspects that the crown prince is infertile. He is so thin, I reckon he really can't. In the 22nd year of Chengde, I gave birth to a little princess. This time, His Majesty didn't let me name her. He named her Huaijia himself. It was spring when Huaijia was learning to walk. She loved flowers. Every day at dawn, she would clamor to go to the imperial garden. Oh my old back is about to break. Second princess, please have mercy on this old servant. You are not allowed to refer to yourself as a servant in front of her. You are her aunt. Years ago, I asked someone to help Yuanyang leave the palace to find a good man and marry. She fought tooth and nail to refuse. What is the point of being with a man? Washing clothes, cooking, and raising children for someone else. I'd rather wash clothes, cook, and raise children for you. I was truly at a loss for words. I have no family left. I will just cling to your side. If I pass away before you in the future, you just need to adopt an heir for me and buy me a plot of land. I couldn't win against her, so I let her have her way. Yuanyang. I heard someone calling me from behind. I turned and saw Fu Heng standing in the flower garden. He looked thin and sallow. I heard from the imperial physician that he was ill. As for what kind of illness, the Empress kept it strictly under wraps. I didn't try to pry either. Crown Prince. She looks just like you. Everyone says so. My health is not very good. I shouldn't pass any sickness to her. A few years ago, while cleaning up the Eastern Palace, I found the jewelry box you left behind when you went away. Do you still want those? I left them behind on purpose. I don't want them. I don't want them anymore. Very well. Do you regret it? In the future, whenever you have a chance, would you be willing to stay at the princess's residence? Would you? His Majesty will certainly agree, and even if he doesn't, don't I have a say? That is true. If you nod, he won't object. Then I can take the opportunity to travel and see the sights. Let's go to Mount Tai first. Help me see just how beautiful it is. I will paint a picture for you at the summit of Mount Tai and bring it back for you. She is already 13. What is there to worry about? My Huaijia is already of an age to be betrothed. Xiao Tai, Your Highness, I am here. I want lotus root dumplings. Tell Yuanyang to make them for me. Your Highness, Yuanyang is no longer here. I must have them. I am starving to death. So hungry, so hungry. Even if it means losing my head, I must go and beg Yuanyang today. I beg you, let me see the imperial noble consort. His Highness, the Crown Prince is fading. Your Majesty, Your Ladyship, His Highness the Crown Prince, he is fading away. Imperial noble consort, I beg you, please make some lotus root dumplings for His Highness. His Highness says he is hungry. Take me to the kitchen. I haven't stepped into a kitchen for many years, but I haven't forgotten how to make lotus root dumplings. I made them too many times during those 9 years, because Fu Heng loved to eat them. Yuanyang, it was my fault back then. I shouldn't have said those things. It is all in the past. Why dwell on those things now? The most important thing right now is the Crown Prince's health. Your Highness, the lotus dumplings made by Yuanyang are here. Bring them to me. She ruined your entire life. Even at a time like this, you still think of her. You think of her. What am I to you? How can you not give me even a single chance? Your Highness, Your Highness. After Fu Heng passed away, the emperor seemed to age many years all at once. He suffered from insomnia, quite often at night, so I would try all sorts of ways to accompany him on walks, coaxing him to play shuttlecock with me. Back then, you wanted me to be active, coaxing and tricking me into playing shuttlecock. I was so scared that I cried. You held me and comforted me. From that day on, I started cooking all kinds of dishes for him again. I was also coaxing and pampering him, so this is what he felt back then. What kind of feeling? In those dark eyes, there was only me, nothing else. It felt as if I was your entire world. Indeed, Your Majesty is my entire world. Then I shall live for a few more years to be by your side. You are still young. Do not talk about life and death. Very well. The Emperor's vision began to blur when reading text. He left the task of reviewing memorials to me. With you helping Nian-ge, even if I leave, I can rest easy. Please, don't say that. I thought he would live a long and full life, but he did not, and he left very suddenly. He hadn't even swallowed a mouthful of soup before he collapsed into my arms. In the next life, do you still wish to be with me? Your Majesty, wait for me, Yuanyang. Yuanyang will come to find you very soon. Then I shall be reborn a little later. This time, I will grow up alongside you.